Well, we're back in school. It's been an interesting week. The first week went well, absolutely. We got an extended vacation. Far as the days of returning, there was predicted snow and inclement weather. And so, again, small recap. We came back, we're to come back on the 6th, and it was delayed initially for 2 hours, and then we got a call that it would be closed for the remainder of the day. Schools would be closed for the remainder of the day. On Tuesday, we had a 2-hour delay, and everybody got here safely. The snow came in on Friday, as predicted, which created us having a delay and eventually a cancellation for yesterday, which was Monday. All right, and so we're now at Tuesday, and everybody's expected back safely today. And so just let me give you a recap. This is ISS, and this is a day in the life of ISS instructor or coordinator. I've been watching a lot of internet or activities going on. There's a lot going on in the world, right? We've got fires out in California. I was stationed in San Francisco, and so Edgar Allan Poe said one of the coldest winters he had was a summer in San Francisco. So California is interesting weather climate out there, right? Temperature drops at night, and those winds, earthquakes, and the like, right? So back here on the east side, we've got snowed in from Ohio all the way up north, all the way throughout down through Georgia. Georgia had a lot of snowfall. So we're back in school today. So yesterday, there was a invitation for teachers and or classified workers to come to work. Students were staying home, and eventually you could work from home. So I did come in yesterday, which was very productive for me, even though I'm in ISS, which is not normally seen as one of those teachers or coordinators that need to be on campus. I had a lot of copies and or organization to get geared up for the coming semester, because next week ends this quarter, right? And so we'll have another additional few days off because MLK's birthday is coming up, celebration, and then there's 2 days of teacher work days. So there's a lot going on. You know, teachers will be finalizing grades, and I've had an interesting situation where students are wanting to get out of classes at the 11th hour, right? And we're trying to explain to them, look, you've only got a few more days. Just complete this. If you're not failing the class, why would you ever try to get out now, or you're now being sent to ISS? And so the explanation I gave was, look, you're going to do work in here, whether or not you want to do work or you don't want to participate in this other class, you're going to have to do work in here, because that's not what we're doing, right? So this is not going to be a refuge for you to come in and sit down and put your head down and sleep. As I mentioned earlier in previous videos, during lunch is the only time I allow them to put their head down after they eat. They don't have to do anything as far as work for 30 minutes, right? So we go to the cafeteria, they get their lunch, they come back here, and they have 30 minutes, which is a little longer than what they'd have do a normal day, right? Because they roughly 20 minutes in the cafeteria with their classes, right? 30 minutes, and during that 30 minutes, they're going to eat, and I'm going to play motivational videos on YouTube, Denzel Washington voiceovers, Eric Thomas, Les Brown, and so on and so on. I have a whole list of a playlist that I play, and whether they're paying attention or not, subconsciously they're hearing it, right? And so that's the same thing that I'm doing to get myself in the mood every morning. I come in, we leave home about 7 o'clock, right? Every morning, we wake up about 6, get everything done. My wife's already prepared everything for the day, the night before. So we get in our cars about 7 o'clock. Her school is closer than mine, right? I'm about 11 miles away, right? She's only like a mile and a half, which is very convenient. And so what I do is, Leroy Thompson, every morning for the last 8 weeks, mid-December, right? If not the beginning of December, 2024 to present, every morning coming to work. I use that time to medicate, almost medicate, yeah, to meditate and get my spirit in order. And listening to Leroy Thompson, I've heard him years ago, and he's the money cometh now, prosperity, and a preacher they would call him. I found that he is a very genuine and authentic someone that has value, right? Also, Myron Gold. I listened to both of these over on YouTube, just in meditation. I believe that they're teaching some good information about the glory and goodness of God. And so I'm listening to that coming, and that gets me into the spirit. And I'm also, these 20 minutes or 45 minutes that I arrive early every morning, I use that time to meditate and or listen to Leroy Thompson or Myron Gold. I usually listen to Myron Gold periodically going home, right? I'll listen to Leroy Thompson. I don't know if he calls himself a doctor, but Leroy Thompson going and coming, as well as, believe it or not, so these little voices in my head don't keep me up at night because I'm constantly thinking, right? That's why Caesar said, Jan Cassius has a lean, hungry look. Such men are dangerous. Let me have fat, sleek-headed men such as sleep at night. I don't sleep at night. My wife always is trying to get me to go to bed early, right? But I don't get cranked up until about 10. And maybe that's because when I get home, I'm kind of fatigued from the day here at work. And I take a nap while I'm sitting there watching TV or doing whatever right before dinner. So that could be the reason. But nonetheless, right? So that's how I start this day. And so by the time I get here and I'm playing this, and now that I'm doing these YouTube, the day in the life of an ISS instructor, coordinator, teacher, whatever you want to call it, this gives me 45 minutes to have already listened to Leroy Thompson, come into the classroom, get the spirit in here, right? And it helps to calm my day and my spirit. And I don't get agitated. I have a lot of kids say, Mr. Couch, are you angry? No, I'm not angry. I don't get angry, right? You're children, right? I don't allow you to anger me. You're yelling. I don't yell. I'm projecting, right? And so I have some videos that I love to show as I go through this whole list that you've seen before. There's 26 student code of conduct references, and I go through those, and here's the torture, right? They cannot stand for me to have to go over that a second time, particularly if I've already gone over with them. And as I mentioned before, we have a test and a quiz on those, right? And if you return, you're going to write each one down, right? And so there's no secret coming here, right? So as I said earlier, student wants to get out of his normal class. We've only got a few days left. This is when we're returning from vacation, from the winter break, right? You've got 8-9 days to finish this course, and you want to get out or you don't want to participate anymore, and so the teacher is sending you or reprimanding you and sending you to ISS. Does this make sense? Make it make sense. So I have a conversation with the young man, and we go back and forth, and I'm trying to get him to understand, the short period that you have to go, it'll be over, and if you're not failing the class already, you're going to wind up, if you have to come in here, and then based on our instructions and the guidelines, which I read to each of them, and they're fully aware, if you don't participate and complete your classwork in here, and your teacher's classwork, and if you run out of teacher's assignments, then the work that I give you or the exercises that we go through, if you don't participate here, your next step is out the door, OSS, all right? So don't think that you're going to come here. You're not doing classwork there because you don't want to be in the class anymore. There's only several days left. You're going to come in here and somehow this is going to be a reprieve, and it's not, because you may wind up actually now missing the additional classes during the day, because that may put you in all day indoor suspension for a day or 2 or 3, depending, right? So this is what we're trying to get the students to understand. Right? This is not a play area. As I said, the principal's mantra has been, we're having fun, but we ain't playing. And I expressed to them very much so. We're not playing in here for sure. Now, you can go in the classroom, and I've been in the classroom, as I mentioned, for 2 years. I know it can be difficult, and personally, I didn't have those issues of class management. And I had ninth graders for 2 years, teaching world history. And yes, there were students that didn't want to participate, didn't want to do their work, but I make the calls home, and what you have to do as a teacher is document the information, document everything, because even in ISS, they get a sheet of paper with what violations or codes conduct they violated, and they have to take it home and have it signed, right? And so I go through this whole thing about integrity again. You can't lie, cheat, steal, do whatever, and then forgery, right? Forge your parent's name, and then you bring that paper back, and then they're having a parent council conference, and the parents saying, well, I don't know anything about it. And all of a sudden, administration pulls out, or the teachers pulled out at the meeting, here's the form that you signed. We sent it home, or we tried to make several calls home, and we couldn't get you. We left a message or whatever. And so the student decided they wanted to sign the paper or forge the parent's name. And so now the parent says, well, I didn't know, right? And so here's the great dilemma. Parents have a difficult task these days because things have changed as far as, how you treat children. And of course, abuse is never acceptable, right? And so, but now there's a whole lot of different kind of parenting techniques. And then we got the Gen Z generation. And so there's a lot of cuddling and or not preparing students for the real world. And this transition that I'm talking about is, as I said, I try to gear a lot of this class and instruction based on the code of conduct and the fact that you go to work or you go in any setting, there are going to be rules, policies, and procedures, right? SOPs, standard operation procedures, right? And so there are going to be rules. And to make a person feel as if, they this kind of free range, you can do whatever, whenever, and how do you feel today? And, I understand the mental aspect of it. A lot of students, a lot of people in general are being abused and are in toxic relationships, toxic employment relationships, toxic personal relationships. So understanding that, we still have to prepare students for the reality of there is a certain amount of compliance that you need, and if you're going to contest something, there's a way to do it. There's a process for which you can go through and make your case, right? But if you're going off the handle automatically and you're using profanity, cursing teachers out, threatening teachers and or your classmates or whatever, it's a hostile work environment. So if you watch any other channels similar to mine now, I found a lot of video and or YouTube presentations on teachers leaving the profession. And that's a reality. That's real because it can be testing, because you're in a position of, you can be offended, but you can't offend, right? And so these are the things that teachers are dealing with. Parents are struggling, trying to gain control. And so everybody is under duress, right? And so you'll see a lot of videos about employment where people are leaving their jobs. People are quitting. And then you'll have that whole other mantra that, oh, you shouldn't quit your job and because, of YouTube. And nobody's telling you to quit your job, right? You need to make a decision for your own mental health, because if you work in a hostile work environment or you are in a hostile environment, you are putting yourself under strenuous amounts of duress and depression and all sort of other illnesses that come along with that. So it's important that we teach our young people there's a proper way to deal with things. There's a rational way to deal with things. And of course, we all get angry or upset at some point. We have to control our emotions as much as possible, right? And so there's a lot of incidents across America with teachers and school administrators or whoever getting into a lot of trouble when it comes to their conduct in relation to these kids. Now, if you're not in the classroom, or have never been in a classroom, and you're a parent, you need to pay attention to also what it is that your child is doing, right? Because one of the things that I keep saying over and over, when they come into the ISS, I ask them, because I know what they're gonna. I'll know eventually at some point. Either they're bringing me from administration the code violations that they have to take home. I read them, or they're already in the system, and I can look it up, and I see what has been written up, and so I get their version, so we can have some communication. I listen to what they have to say, and one of the first things when they walk through the door before they sign, I say, "So why are you here?" And particularly if they've been back. They're a return offender. They've been back several times. I'm like, really? Is this what we're going to do? Right? And so the first thing they say, but I didn't do nothing. And everybody else, and I said, so where's everybody else? Right? So you're falling behind everybody else. You are either the class clown or you're participating in it, and adding fuel to the fire. And then you're so low out, or you feel like, well, everybody else was doing it. Well, you have to be the person that has enough decorum and or understanding that, look, I'm not going to get involved in this, right? So you want to take videos of different things. You're taking videos of the teachers. You're not supposed to have the phones at any point anyway. And then I saw a news, breaking news, or not necessarily breaking news, but a news flash that came on, I think Monday, where South Carolina has now banned cell phones from school or in the classroom totally, right? And so there's some controversy around that. And then parents are saying, oh, well, I need to be in contact with my student. And okay, all right? There's a lot happening in the world. But remember, I would ask the parent, how did your parents get in contact with you? I mean, the world was different, yes, but contact the office, administration, and you'll make contact that way. Because what's going to happen is you can't do both things, and you can't be on your phones, listening to music, and doing your classwork at the same time. The whole fallacy of multitasking was a whole another story anyway, right? That's just a way to get people to do more with less. Right? And if you're juggling, something's going to fall and it's not going to get the same amount of attention. So the same thing that teachers are dealing with in the classroom, they've got 15, 12, 15, 20 students. Now, in ISS, I've had as high as 18 students in here for several days. And that's not the norm, but there's been weeks where I've got a full class, 18. Right? I had to bring in these round tables because around the room I've shown you there are cubicles and there are quite a few of those. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 of those. And primarily what I do is I spread each student out so they're not right next to each other, because we're not going to have a lot of conversation in here. And I brought in these round tables that have about 4 chairs around those. And so I brought those in also, so when I'm on the whiteboard with the projector, they can sit at these tables and have a better view, and we can go over it. And so as new students come in, they know the routine. If a student has not ever been here, I go through each one of these. And if you've been returning, you will hear this again. And it's kind of like me on the blackboard, or what we would call the blackboard back in the day. Their skin is crawling, because now Mr. Couch is going to go through this litany of 26 student code of conduct, and we are going to hate it, right? And so, no, it's not just the fact that we're going to do that and we're going to do it over and over and over again, repetitive as punishment. It's that you came back. We've covered this. And I've said to them on many occasions, when you get your jobs, when you go to a new job, there's orientation. HR, which is human resources, is going to bring you in. They're going to give you the booklet of the policies, the rules, the procedures on attendance and everything else. 90% of what we have on this board up here for Student Code of Conduct is similar to what your parents are going to deal with every day and you're going to deal with. This is simply a training ground for the rest of your life, and so be prepared. So it won't be a culture shock when you get there. You'll know the instructor or the HR department will be giving you instructions on what you can and cannot do. Dress code, the whole litany of what we got up here. So this is education, or the educational system. Yes, you can have many disagreements about its effectiveness, but until you can get in a position to where you can operate and own your own business, you're still going to have employees, and you're going to need to know how to treat them. This is why, again, I'm going back to, I'll be posting probably this evening a revamp of Supervisor Karen, right? A supervisor that just cannot handle, should not ever be in charge of overseeing or supervising human beings, people. It's just everybody's got different roles, right? Probably efficient in some area, but you to be in charge of people management, you have no people skills, right? And so what we're trying to teach here, the state of North Carolina is big on the portrait of a graduate, and I was printing up some information yesterday. That's what I was doing. I was making a lot of copies of different things because, again, I'm going to keep them busy. And it's not just busy work, right? I'm using the curriculums that are on the internet for the district, for the state, for nationally, right? So this, you can learn, and part of the learning process is not that you are in a classroom. To read and write is the beginning of learning for the rest of your life. So that being said, it's about time for me to hit that clock, right? And so I'm going to check out. I'll get back with you and look for some of the videos. I'm going to start putting up my playlists and doing some thumbnails and all those good things. And so I'm getting a little more comfortable with this. Again, I didn't want to be in front of the camera. I've done radio years ago. I've done TV commercials. So I'm not new to this. But when you haven't done it in a long time, and I didn't really want to get in front of the camera, but we're here now. And so God bless you. And remember, Leroy Thompson and Myron Gold, check those two gentlemen out. They're very educational as far as economics and money. And it's a good thing to have money. And the scripture says money answers all things. And so some of you will take that out of context, but it says money answers all things, and it does. You get in trouble and you need some money. It won't keep you from the grave, but it's necessary. And that's also part of why the state of North Carolina has mandated that personal finance be taught. And so I also present them with that information and go over some budgeting and some other things. But until then, God bless you and have a great day.